and welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. I'm IceMan. This will be a guide video on Sinesha. She is one of the oldest characters in the game, however she is absolutely one of my favourite characters in the game. I do wish I had a Skull Crown to pair her with. I don't, unfortunately, but on her own right she is an absolutely amazing champion. So let's take a dive into her and have a look and see why that is. So, we'll start off with her ability. So her A1, Burning Wave, attacks all enemies, places an extra hit on enemies with less than 50% HP. This is where she pairs really well with Skull Crown. Skull Crown does the same thing, only on enemies with more than 50% HP. So between the pair of them, they're both hitting twice. And if you get Skull Crown to go first and she manages to take them down to below 50, then Sinesha goes next and she will hit them twice and more than likely kill them. That's the whole point of a blender comp, using those two. I can't show you that because I don't have both. However, on her own right, she is an absolutely brilliant champion, and this move still does a fair bit of damage. It can be booked up to increase damage only. They are epic books, so I would say booking her should be very much dependent on your account. Do you have a lot of books? Do you spend money on the game? If you don't, you are obviously going to get some benefit out of booking her up. You are going to increase the damage, but I would personally always say that if you're careful with your resources, it's not worth booking for damage. You want to book for cooldowns or for buff chance if the buff is really good and you want to use it. So do as I advise, not as I do, obviously, is the way to go with this one. So her A2, Vaporize, attacks one enemy, puts the target skills on cooldown, and heals the ally with the lowest HP by 25%. So this is a brilliant ability. It is worth putting your books into, getting it down from 4 to 3. Basically, it is only single target, but you know, you've got, especially for the arena, which is where I tend to use well, I use her everywhere, to be fair. I use her as one of my main DPSs in dungeons and in the arena. The only place I don't really use her is Clan Boss. She is a brilliant champion, and this is a pretty cool skill, mainly for the arena. But she does some solid damage with it, and then puts the target skills on cooldown. So you pick the target with the most dangerous ability that you know is going to go off next. You hit them with that, and Bob's your uncle. Now, whether or not this needs accuracy, I'm not sure. I don't think I've got a build for all that much accuracy, and yet I still seem to have it take effect quite regularly. I wouldn't mind somebody to tell me on that one. I thought that accuracy applies to any ability that affects somebody, but I'm not entirely sure if that's true on the cooldown ones, because it's the same as if somebody's got block debuffs, you can still reduce turn meter, you can still put skills on cooldown because it's not classed as a debuff, even though it sort of is. But since it doesn't put a debuff up on the screen, it's not counted as a debuff, so it still takes effect. So her A3, Immortality, is a really nice ability. Equalises the HP of all allies. The HP levels of all allies will be brought up to the level of the ally with the highest HP, then heals target ally by 10% of their max HP. So obviously you pick the person who's lowest. You want somebody who's got a good healthy HP left on your team. If you're all low, it's not going to work, but as long as you're all high. Now this is worth booking down from 6 to 5 turns, and it increases the amount of the heal you get. So obviously it heals the target ally by 10%. Well, once booked, that goes up to 20, 30, 40, 50, 60%. So you can actually get a good solid heal out of that. Anyway, that's her A3. Absolutely brilliant ability. It means that she can put people on cooldown, she can do damage, and she can heal. So great champ, absolutely amazing. And then she's got an aura, increases ally HP in faction crypts by 31. It's only in faction crypts, but you know, still good aura, and it's usable. Right, let's move on to her. No, we'll move on to her masteries. I have gone for. I'm going to move myself over here out of your way. I do apologise, I haven't done that in my previous videos. It's not something I thought of until I watch the video back, obviously, and then I'm like, oh my god, I'm in the way. So anyway, this is what I've gone for. So I've gone for an arena build damage dealing setup on her offense tree with crit damage, crit rating, crit damage, attacking with full HP, especially if you're going to be using her in a blender comp. I must admit, in my case, she's I don't know, I've got some good healers and shields and stuff, so she does spend a fair bit of time at full HP, but you'd probably find it situational as to whether or not you want that one or that one. So make your mind up for your team. If you know that your team setup, say, has people who put out unkillable, and you don't have any good heals on your team, so they're more than likely going to be under health most of the time, then it's worth going for this one maybe. But if you want to nuke them out at the start and you're worrying about your speed and you're trying to be the fastest and getting them down, obviously you want to go for that one. Then we're going a Whirlwind of Death, increases speed for champions killed, increases damage on first hit, gives you a chance to reset the cooldown on an ability, increases damage when team members are dead, down into increases damage inflicted by 4% for each debuff on this champion. Again, a good one for the arena. Obviously a place where you're going to be getting people putting a lot of debuffs on you, but also helps in the dungeon. And then I've gone for Flawless Execution for the extra 20% crit damage. I tend to prefer that myself over Helm Smasher. Now, I may actually change this out because obviously I may need using it as a nuker as opposed to a speed champion. So I'm thinking I might swap this up for getting in more counter attacks and going defensive. But for the moment, we've got higher health, increases her healing ability, increases her healing, increases the amount of healing and the value of shield buffs. She doesn't really play shield buffs. But, you know, again, if you're in the arena and people have stun, sleep, fear, true fear, freeze, debuffs, this is going to increase their healing. A chance to reset cooldown on an ability again, and down into Spirit Haste, giving you more speed for each dead ally. So obviously more of your allies are dead, the more faster she goes, and you can hopefully get a chance to kill people before you're all dead. So that's how we've gone on the masteries. Alright, okay, so that's done. Let's take a look at her artifacts. So obviously I'm trying to boost damage here more than anything else. That's the setup I've gone for. Let's not do that. Let's start with the banner. I do want a better banner on her, and I've probably got one that I could implement instead. Obviously I've gone defensive to try and keep her alive. I'm thinking I've got her in a good defensive team now, so I might actually swap that out for attack and more damage, or we'll see what we can get out of that. But at the moment, again, you know, mid-tier sort of account. There's no 6-star pieces on this champion. She's built reasonably well, but not brilliantly well. Some of the stuff isn't even rolled up to 16 yet. I still need to do that. So, but I always seem to be absolutely poor on silver. You know, I'm forever running dungeons and leveling champions, and yet forever I seem to have no silver. So maybe I'm doing something wrong. I don't know. Anyway, I've gone for a crit damage amulet, obviously. It's got some attack on it, it's got some resistance, and it's got some defense. Again, I'd prefer to swap that out for, say, something with attack and resistance and accuracy maybe, and certainly a higher level amulet. We've gone for an attack ring with an attack percentage substat, which we've got on a good roll on. That's a fairly reasonable piece. I didn't really state it, but obviously her abilities are based off of attack, so hence why I'm building her that way. We've then got speed boots with crit rate. There's not much more to them than that. We've then got a it's 2 pieces per set, so we've got 2 sets basically of crit damage gear, which gives me an extra 40% crit damage. I do want to swap this out from a defensive chest to an attack based chest. The only reason I'm using this, I mean, it does mean that she's a bit more survivable in dungeons and in the arena, but I'd still rather get attack on that. The only reason she's wearing it is for the triple crit rate roll. Then we've gone into crit damage gloves with a double roll on crit rate and a roll in speed, so these are actually a really nice set of gloves. It's a shame they're not from a better set, but still really nice gloves. Then we've got shield. Again, it's all basically the same thing. So for her, you're looking at building her for crit damage, or going with cruel sets, or that sort of thing, where you want to mitigate either increase your crit damage or mitigate defense. And then obviously you're building her for high crit damage, high crit rate, high attack with a good amount of speed. Now her speed is lower than I would like, but being a nuker, she can go at the end, and I do need to do some re-gearing on her. And again, it's basically using what I've got, and I've not actually looked at her for a while, so I probably should change some of these bits up if I've got them. I'm certainly running Fire Knight a lot more these days, so I might have a few bits that could be swapped out. Again, more of the same. This isn't actually a good piece of gear at all. It is there. It's got some basic attack, it's got a little bit of crit damage, but that's it. And then we've got some attack percentage and a double rolling crit rate. A crit rate is not quite as high as I would like. Obviously, it's a bit under 100. Her crit damage, on the other hand, because of all those pieces, is fairly respectable at 226. Again, I want to improve this. I do want to get it up, but it's obviously spending the time to farm the gear, and getting the rolls on said gear. So, you know, we'll get there. It just takes time. And it's so easy to get distracted in this game with so much to do all the time, and them releasing more and more to do all the time makes it even harder to focus on what you want. And sometimes it's maybe a good idea to just ignore everything else. Say, I'm going to skip this fusion. I'm not going to worry about trying to get my dailies done as much. Are they worth doing? Yes, you can get legendary books and whatnot out of it. Of course they are worth doing, but sometimes it's maybe because there is so much time to do in this game, it's sometimes worth just saying, you know what, I am going to farm overnight with all the energy I've got. I'm also going to spend the next day, every minute I've got, farming, and I'm just going to try and get myself some really good bits of gear and roll them up. And sometimes you need to do that on the handful of champions that you use regularly just to try and boost your account. So anyway, we've had a look at her masteries, we've had a look at her skills. We're going to move on and show you her in some content. I think we will do a dungeon, and obviously she's not very suited with her single hit and whatnot for the Fire Knight. I don't use her in there. She could maybe do some work for you in Spider, especially if you put stun set, but we will see. For the moment, I'm going to try her in a stage 20 dragons. To be fair, this is the one I always use her in, and she is a staple in this team. This isn't me putting her in here just for this. This is my normal team that I run. Get decreased defense and attack out. Cold Heart comes in, puts out the decreased accuracy. And then you see she's coming out and doing some damage. Still gets her stuns out there, so we're not taking the damage. Now let's slow it down. I think that might have been her healing up there. Let's slow it down just so you can see what she does. And there you go, you know, 10k hits all around, and as they get down below 50%, obviously that's going to increase and be doubled. Alright, it's not amazing damage, but like I say, mid-game sort of tiered account, I really need to increase her gear still, and I can boost her damage up a fair amount, but she's still one of my best damage champions that I've got. So we'll increase the speed again. What we'll probably do is cut through to the end of the fight. You've seen the sort of things she can do. You see the damage she starts to put out there. These aren't the fastest of runs. Obviously this one will be slightly longer with me having slowed it down so you can see what she was doing. But I found this to be extremely reliable. I think I've got pretty much 100% win rate with this. She does the damage, she also helps with the healing. Cold Heart does plenty of damage. Obviously Frozen Banshee is in there for damage on the dragon when you get to it. Still of the Drakes brings the stuns, the heal, some healing and revives. Madame Ceres of course removes buffs and puts out your decreased defense and weaken. Decreased defense and decreased attack, sorry. And that's what it's there for. So we're going to cut this and move to the end of the video, to the end of the fight, and show you just what we came in at. Okay, and we're back. So we've got a time of 5 minutes and 2. It's usually a little bit quicker than that, but I was messing around and did skip it off auto and slow it down just so you could see what she was doing, which obviously slowed the run down a little bit. But what I do like about these runs, although they're usually around sort of 4.5 minutes, not the fastest, but they are reliable. I don't lose with this, which means I can just leave it running all night and come back, and I'm actually going to have gear there rather than I've left it running all night and wasted half my gems because it's got a 50% win rate, or something like that. If we get a decent bit of gear, yeah, not bad. And accuracy set with crit rate and HP. I'll probably keep that just for the moment, just to see if I need it. I am a bit shy on accuracy pieces. I've not actually been running dragons that much. I've been running fire knights more. So we are going to move on and do the arena. I've shown you, I mean, can she do all the keeps? Yes, she can really help in pretty much anywhere that you require for damage. Dungeons, I would quite happily use her in ice golems. Minotaur, spiders, she could do some work for you, especially if you put her in a stun set. Finite Castle, again, not brilliant, but she could help you get through the waves, and she'll help keep your team topped up. But she has obviously only got that single hit, so it just depends what you want to use her for. And certainly if you've pulled her earlier on in your account, you're just going to use her absolutely everywhere probably, because she's that good and that useful just about everywhere. So put that out and we'll probably come in on this. Alright, let's see what we've got. So I had team power than me. Obviously I've got a fairly decent setup here. I am in goal 4, so I do need a fairly solid team to help me win here and keep me going. Obviously I've got Warlord, brings us the shields. He's also in a shield set, so that helps keep him alive at the start. He also gives a resistance lead. We've got Edgemon here. He does some damage, but he's mainly there for his lockout at the start. Valkyrie obviously messes with their turn meter, as well as bringing big shields and counter attack. And she pairs really nicely with Sinesha, because obviously once those counter attacks are up, especially if they've got AoE champions like Skullcrown, every time an AoE comes out and hits everybody, she's going to counter attack and hit everybody back, which works really nicely. So we'll show you how this goes. Okay, so obviously we start off with Hegemon, try and get some lockouts. We've locked out 3. Now I could put up shields, but Valkyrie's likely to go very soon and she'll be putting out big shields herself. So we'll just go and do a hit on Skullcrown. Then we get our counter attack out there. We'll go for the AoE. See some good solid hits, 8, 9k. So we'll take the healer down. And there you see, so the counter attack from them hitting me with an AoE comes back and does a fair amount of damage, and especially once they're below 50%, she's hitting twice, so that's brilliant. We've only got one turn left on the lockout, so we might as well use this now. Kill Skullcrown. And then we'll come in. We'll just go for that again, don't need any healing. Now, is this a bit of a whale account? Yes, I mean I don't spend thousands on the game, but I do spend on the game. So and I've also been playing for about 9 months, so you know I do have some really good champions here, but I've worked really hard to get them. But as you can see, she did the majority of the damage there. The others sort of kept her alive and helped to do it. Now, you may not have a Valkyrie, that's fine. You might have a different counter-attack champion. She'll pair well with any of them. Again, even if you don't have a counter-attack champion, if you manage to do the recent fusion and you've got ally attack, or you've even got a different ally attack champion, she can be used with that. And because it's her A1, it will be used on that. It is best with counter attack, I find, and does most damage that way, especially on a defensive team like I've got. My team is set up that I'm not necessarily going to go first other than Hegemon, and even then I may not if I'm fighting another Hegemon, but I'm predicated on most of my champions actually going second and still winning, and I do win a lot of fights this way. So anyway, that's Sinesha in a snapshot. So she's good in dungeons, she's good in the arena. Hey, if you've pulled her early, she'll probably do work for you in the clan boss. She is an amazing champion. I'm still using her today, even on this account with some brilliant champs that I've got. So congratulations, you know, she is a good champion. Do use her, do build her up. She's certainly worth it. I'm IceMan, thank you for watching. If you like the video, please give it a like, please give it a subscribe. We really want to grow this channel, and I'll see you in the next video.